Good morning, Cameron. Really appreciate you coming on so early in the morning. I know it's 9 a.m. for you. So, how are you?
I'm doing good, doing very good. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to get the day started. Feeling
Nice. I
good.
like that. The reason I invited you on is because I saw some nice wins from you in the copywriting campus. Could you explain what they were about?
Yeah, the last couple of months I've just been able to kind of ramp up my client intake. It started like in November. I was able to land one client off of a discovery project or, yeah, pretty much a discovery project. It was really small, about $200, for like four emails or something. There's like four email sequence. It was kind of like the standard basic, practice that we're learning over at the copywriting campus with Andrew Bass. And so I successfully kind of landed the client on that. And I kind of took him up this value ladder that we also learn about, where the next time I was doing some page rewrites for him, and then from there I went into, kind of, I have a whole system, like a package system that I sell that's pretty much all the marketing all in one machine, right?
Mhm.
Uh, and I sell that as one package, and he went for it. He went for it, and I did kind of half up front, half on the back end, and then at the same time, I landed another client, uh, you know, discovery project, um, who wanted kind of the same thing, and so it was kind of just this role of landing clients, and since November, December, January, here we are in February.
Right. So, to clarify, since November, what has been the total you've made in that time span?
A total I've made, let's see, one, two, three, four, three, 1,300. I would say about maybe about 6 grand, 7 grand.
Okay. And that's in about 3.5 months.
Yeah, 3.5 months. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
Congratulations.
yeah, man. I'm impressed. I'm definitely impressed, especially as somebody that, I'm kind of an old guy, man. I mean, I don't look that old, but I come from a time when there was no internet school. There was not even Facebook. It was only MySpace. You know what I mean? So to be able to have this like online school that's teaching some, I'm really impressed with this, man. Honestly, really impressed. Teaching some real skills that you can maximize, and monetize, man. It's really
Right.
cool.
When did you join the reward?
I joined last year in May. Yeah, May 16th. It was
Okay.
before it got to the real world. I think it was Hustlers University 2.0 at that point.
How much time were you putting in terms of hours from when you joined until you got your first client?
Well, see, that's the thing. See, I'm a touring musician, man. Like, I was on the road. So I saw Andrew Tate stuff like on TikTok on the road. I was like, who is this guy, man? Because he actually reminds me a lot of people I grew up with that are just like that. You're super confident, aggressive, you know what I mean? I grew up with a lot of people like that. I have mentors that are even two times more than Andrew Tate, so I was used to that energy. So when I saw Andrew Tate, I was like, oh, I know this guy, man. Like I know that energy, man. I like it. So, I was on the road, touring at the time, and I saw it and I was like, okay, let me check it out. And then by May, that's when I clicked on the link and was like, okay, let me check this out. It wasn't my first time doing an online digital marketing school. You know, to be honest with you, like the year before that, I was with this other school called Modern Millionaires, But the thing about Modern Millionaires, they teach you the digital aspect, but they don't teach you the fundamentals. And that was the cool thing about Hustlers University slash the real world is the fundamentals of becoming a better person. You know what I mean?
Mhm. I'd like you to go a bit more in depth on that. How different is the material from what you've seen in the real world compared to what you can find out on the internet?
Well, that's the thing. These guys, I was really the first guy I saw on the real world when I finally joined was Arno, and I started watching his videos. Uh, and he's super cool, man. You can tell these guys are hot shots, man. They're not like fakers. You know, they're the real deal. And they teach you the mental fundamentals that you have to have, like the mindset, which is important. It really is because you know, before the real world and before these guys started teaching the secrets, nobody knew those kind of secrets, the mindset secrets that you have to have, which is pretty aggressive mindset, you know. And like I said, for 20 at least 25 years, for me personally, it was just all about figuring it out and getting beat up by the streets, man, and trying and not understanding like, oh, forget about put your feelings away and just, the using your brain to figuring out your problems and all kinds of different little things like that. I come from a huge, huge music community, that's what I've done my whole life is music. And, I started touring when I was like 15 years old, man. I was signed to my first record deal at 18 years old. So that's like that's my whole life, And in the music community, you have these older mentors, jazz cats, that have done it. And a lot of the times they will teach you, but they won't let you expand. You have to keep the traditions. The cool thing about the real world and the guys in the real world is they teach you the basics, but they don't want you to hold the tradition. They want you to mold that into your own thing and kind of run with it, which is super cool. I love that philosophy. So, really impressed with what's going on with the real world.
Great. I love that answer. Why did you choose copywriting out of everything that was available?
well, it was half, you know, the influence of kind of when I was listening to Arno talk about, hey, don't bounce around, pick one and stick with it. Which is actually that's a kind of an old tried and true philosophy of anything that's been around even before the real world, where it's just like, stick with one thing, pound the pavement on that one thing. It will happen for you, no doubt. But if you're bouncing around, jack of all trades, then first of all, number one, you'll never really master it. You'll never be the best at it. Number one, that's something we knew that I know as a musician, man. If you're not concentrated on the one thing, you're doing guitar, you're doing piano, you're doing drums, you're doing bass, you're never going to really master one thing, but you do the one instrument. It's like, boom, you can be the best. So, um, and then I just liked the idea of, because I'm a songwriter, I'm coming from songwriting, I'm a composer, I'm a songwriter, that whole thing from music. So it was a little bit easier for me to transition into copywriting. It's not the same as songwriting, but it kind of is in a way. You're speaking to people's feelings, you're getting inside their head, right? And there's a language to it. It's different than just writing an essay or writing an email or writing a fiction novel. It's like a certain language. Same thing, songwriting and copywriting. So it was easy for me to kind of transition into copywriting.
Interesting. I'm wondering, because of that niche, have you seen any kind of benefits to your songwriting since having done copywriting? Or does it not correlate like that?
Uh, actually, well, a little bit. Just the idea of writing a lot now. See, because like now I've beefed up my writing practice. So I'm always writing and I'm always like now thinking and creating, you know, and trying to and also trying to get inside the words. When I say that, like inside the words, I mean write words that are gonna get inside your brain. You know what I mean? Or concepts or phrases. That's both songwriting and copywriting. Writing the phrase in a way that's gonna like get inside your brain. You're not gonna be able to get it out. You know what I mean? And that's the cool thing about that.
Okay, very interesting.
But what copywriting has done is uh accelerated or like improved the way that I just talk to people and just the way that you it's funny, man, like it's a complete hustle. And it's true what Andrew Bass says about using it for good or using it for bad, because it's a complete hustle. You can, in a conversation with any friend, you can immediately flip and go into the conversation where we're now you're not giving the answer to what you're talking about. And it creates that curiosity immediately. And it's like, whoa, it's like I said, it's a complete hustle, man. You'll have people on the edge of their seats instantly, just from switching into that mindset. It's a pretty wild phenomenon.
Yeah, interesting. Just to clarify again, so how many hours were you roughly putting in to learning copywriting and into the real world, considering you were a full-time touring musician?
As soon as I got off the road, because once when you're on the road, it's hard, man. But once I was off the road, I was putting in maybe 5, 6 hours a day. I would, I do that thing where, you really split up your day. Even yeah, I put alarm clocks on my phone for the different times of days that I want stuff to happen. So I make sure things get done, those things get done. Um, and I have an allotted time of about 5 hours every single day to work on copywriting and outreach, outreaching, copywriting, digital marketing, just the whole system, packaging my system, Yeah. And then even at the end of the day, like I would still come back to it. Like I would work on it and then I would go and I still have to practice. I practice piano for like 2 hours a day at least. And after piano practice, I would go back to it. I would do like extra stuff at night, read copy, go back into to the real world. Because a lot of times that's what started happening. I started working on copywriting and outreaching and then started reaching out to clients and then started being so much with the clients that, I would have to wait until the end of the day to go back into the real world to do stuff with like students talk, just the whole community inside there, So I just kind of split it up that way.
Mhm. And now, since you mentioned community, has that had any kind of impact on you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I love the community of the real world. I think I just love the camaraderie and the communal effect of just all of us together kind of pushing towards that one thing and everybody being concentrated on that. Uh, and to be honest with you, like I really love that it's there for like I always call them the new 19-year-olds. The only reason why is because it's been so long since I was 19. But I wish I had something like the real world when I was 19, because I didn't have any of that. And, I went to UCLA just like everybody else. I went to UCLA for like 2 years, trying to do music and then dropped out because I started touring early. So I didn't even really need to go to college. Um, but everything else was just kind of figuring it out. And not only that, we didn't have anybody to tell us like, oh, don't waste your time playing video games and doing all that stuff. Don't run to comfort, run to discomfort, because that's the growing process. No one told us any of that. So most of the time, your natural inclination is to run to comfort. Like, oh, when is this gonna be done, bro? I'm trying to get back home, man. I'm trying to, go smoke, or I'm trying to go play some video games. I'm trying to go hang out with my girl, or something. Like, it was always that. And I get on these tours, and I tour for like 2 months and then get off and then not do anything, man. Just chill, man, until the next tour, right? And I wasted so much time. And if I had had a school like this, the real world, when I was 19, where you would come home and then have that in your mind, like, no, don't run to the comfort, jump into this work, hit this work, because then you can have the two businesses going. And by the time I am 35 or 40, I'm 40 now, but it would have been like monolithic. I would just had empires going. So I'm really, for the new 19-year-olds out there, this program is the best. This program is the best. It finally gives them something that they can, like, they're not, because they're even in a worse position today, man. They're stuck on their phones, man. So it gives them something to really work on now, to hold on to.
Mhm. Right. I guess that would be getting sidetracked now if we did go into that, but yeah, completely agree.
Yeah,
Why do you
sorry
think,
about that, man.
all good, completely fine. Why do you think they only charge $50 for all the value they provide?
Well, Andrew Tate is a smart guy, man. I've watched some of his stuff. He's really controversial. My my wife doesn't like him, only just because, girls, they trip on him because, just a lot of stuff he says is really controversial. But however, he's super smart, man. This guy, he's on top of it. And so I think, he probably priced it at that price point because he wanted, it's kind of like this thing where he knew it's scarce information, and there's a massive demand for that information. And he could have priced it a lot more expensive, but I think he knew that, like, there would be a wave, like a tidal wave of people if he priced it cheap, because, and then what happens is, like, he made more money by doing that, because now you had all that tidal wave of people running to his program. It's a funny thing, like, and then so instead of having like 10,000 people at $5,000 a pop, he has now 200,000 people at $50 a pop, or now it's like 150, but before it was 50. And you actually make more money like that. That's actually a business tactic that we do for concerts. Instead of charging people $40 a ticket to come see your show, and only getting like 20 people at your show or 30 people at your show because people are like, ah, man, I can't really afford it. You charge $5 to get in at your show. Now people, the psychology is like, oh man, $5 isn't anything, man. That's cool. Yeah, he's playing for $5. They come to your show. Now you get like 1,000 people at your show for $5 because everybody's, oh, it's really cheap. But in the when you do the math on that, you actually make more money, and you get more attention on your brand because now more people are showing up. The whole thing. So I can say that may be the science. It's like a marketing science. It's a selling science that he kind of used for that. And I appreciate that, man, because, there's a lot of people that want this information, that need this information, that could really benefit. There's a lot of poor kids that are geniuses There's a lot of broke, poor kids that are geniuses that if it had been 5 grand, they would have never been able to touch it. But now, but because of the $50, they can get in there, and now you'll have all these geniuses popping out. You know what I mean? Becoming successful. And so I appreciate Andrew Tate for doing that. Half of it is because of the science of demand, supply and demand, and half of it is just, I think, his Andrew Tate's mission to, change the world by changing these young minds out here. So yeah.
Right. Fair enough. And what would you say about the saturation aspect? Since people say because there's so many people doing it, they feel like it's saturated. What has been your experience with that?
Well, that's a funny thing. I don't think it's saturated at all, man. I think that there's about 100,000 people, maybe 110,000 people in the copywriting campus. In if you are have tunnel vision when you're on the real world on your computer and you look at that number, you'll think, oh man, it's saturated. But 100,000 people out of 8 billion is like nothing, man. So like when you look at it in that perspective, where it's special. It's not saturated at all. Where he's pumping out like a special community of people that are going to have these specific skills and aggressive copywriters too. As opposed to like if you listen to the teaching of some of the other copywriters, I watch a lot of Kyle Milligan is a really good one. And then of course the legend John Carlton, he has like his own little school. It's not really a school, it's like a course, that you can study. But they just don't teach super aggressive persuasion tactics. Like Andrew Bass teaches that. He really and I have to give credit to this dude Andrew Bass. He in himself, like separate from Andrew Tate and the real world, Andrew Bass is such a gem, man. He's a gem. And first of all, I'm really impressed with how young he is and how much he knows. I mean, he's like 10 years younger than me. I I knew some of that stuff when I was like 31 or 32, but Andrew Bass, I have to say, is like, man, he's really on top of it for somebody in his early 30s. And then he's just got a real like, see, you don't have to be extra aggressive when you teach this stuff. That's the other thing I like about Andrew Bass. He's real even going guy. He's a real, positive kind of guy. And it helps. It helps because because if you're too aggressive, it's kind of a beat down. It's too much of a beat down. And it makes young guys, especially young guys, they'll get discouraged, but Andrew Bass makes it so that they feel encouraged, they feel encouraged, which is really cool. But so yeah, I mean, I don't think it's saturated at all. No, it's not saturated. I think 200,000 students, is like, we're not even, we haven't even hit the iceberg yet of how many people could really be in this thing and really, really get a lot out of it,
Right.
I think it's going to expand. I think it's going to expand, man.
Hopefully people see these interviews as well, and it's enough proof for them to know that this is actually legit, everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now going on to, has the Wins channel had any effect on you?
In the beginning it did. In the beginning it did. I actually I had to stop looking at the Wins channel, man, because I was like, oh man, I didn't want to feel that feeling of like, how come it's not happening to me? I just wanted to enjoy the journey until it just happens. It's just like a journey. It's just a process, and I just wanted to enjoy the process rather than be desperate for the goal to happen. But in the beginning, I was looking at checking because I was skeptical. I got into it. I got into it when I was older. I'm sure if I had been 20, I would have been a lot more like bright-eyed about it. Like, oh my gosh, man, this is crazy. But I've seen a lot of hustles, man. I've been hustled many times, out of my money. So I was really skeptical about it. But seeing and then looking at the wins channels, I was like, wow, man, there's a lot of people getting a lot of wins in here. So this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. There's like some hope here, you know. In the other school that I was doing, Modern Millionaires, because I really like them too a lot, but they didn't have the kind of wins, they didn't have the kind of wins that the real world has. And it really has everything to do with the mentality and the teachers, not being so lackadaisical about the teaching, being a lot more aggressive about, your character and the way you think and stuff like that. So, but it's been more of the what Andrew Bass does, these like power up calls every morning, where he'll get on for maybe like 15 or 20 minutes and he'll do these power up calls where he'll talk about either a mindset hack or he'll talk about like marketing IQ type of stuff, how to break down a piece of copy, what's being said, how looking through the lens of his perspective as to how he's breaking it down. And that's been the most valuable, I think, in terms of learning and being part of that community. Everybody jumps on that power up call in the morning. It's like a huge thing. It's kind of like a big powwow, and that's the other thing I like about Andrew Bass. He's a military cat, so he runs it like a military, and which is so like, we're all used to that, especially like, American military. You sit there with the sergeant, you get the briefing for the day. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of a thing, but it's cool. That's so cool because it focuses your mind. It really does. So from there, you just get your tasks done for the day. You're just knocking them out.
Great.
Yeah.
That comes up a lot. The morning power ups with people I interview who do copywriting.
It does. Yeah, man, those are golden, dude. I knew those were popular. Those things are golden, man. Dude, Andrew Bass is he's a gem. I'm glad they got him, man.
Now, do you remember what was the biggest challenge you faced when you first started out with copywriting?
There was actually a couple, man. The first big challenge I faced was understanding copy, like understanding how copy speaks. It speaks, you always have a gap. You always have an information gap in there. I just didn't understand that at first. An information gap is basically a saying that like, there's this unique thing that you need to get. Unique thing is the information gap. Yeah, I'm just giving you a rough example. I mean, obviously you get really creative with this, but that's what I'm saying. Unique thing is the information gap. You don't know what I'm saying. You don't know what it is. What I'm saying is like this unique thing. And so all that does is it just whets your curiosity. You're just wondering like, what the hell is that unique thing? What are you talking about? And it makes you read further into the copy where the next line you go, and this unique thing will make you do this, and it'll be really good for your life this way, and it'll change your life this way, and it'll change your life that way. And so you're constantly just building this curiosity, but you're never telling what that thing is. And you're driving the people to the click. So then they click and they go to your, that's the whole thing, the whole funnel system and the whole digital marketing thing. But that was my first challenge of understanding that exists. Like how to write that, because no one thinks in those terms. Everybody, it's natural to always just tell what you're to say what you're trying to say, like to explain. There's these headphones that you really got to get. These headphones are the best headphones. So right, so now there's no information gap anymore. I told you that they're headphones, but to write that what I just said with the information gap, not using headphones. There's these unique there's these unique this unique technology that is totally going to change your life, right? So it's like it's a different way of writing, and that was really hard for me in the beginning to learn how to write with that information gap like that. And then the second challenge was just getting over the hurdle of like really figuring out how to get clients. You know what I mean? A lot of times you start out and you're always taught, like the other school that I was with too, same thing. They taught like just a template outreach and send that outreach to millions of people and scrape millions of people until you get that one or two or three. It's like, putting down like a grain, farming grain, where you just have a bunch of grain going into the field, and then whatever grows out of there. But that's not how Andrew teaches it. What the cool thing he teaches is this thing that he likes to call a OODA loop, or like where you every single day you're constantly like looking at your situation, analyzing it, and then figuring out how you can make it a little different so that you can really so you can really bring somebody in. You know what I mean? It's not just generic anymore. Every single day doing the same generic thing. Like you're always constantly figuring out, what can I do new that's gonna make it even pop more. That's gonna make me get a client faster. And that's a secret that they don't tell in the world. That's a one of those secrets that they don't say.
I think it's a military concept, if I remember correctly. The OODA
It
loop.
is a military concept. That's exactly how he taught it. He was like, it's something I think they use it in the Air Force, where it's a really fast thing, and they do even in a dogfight when they're in the air. You OODA loop. You figure out, okay, where am I? Who's around me? What's the thing I should do right? What's the best thing I should do right now? Boom, you do that thing, right? So it's like that kind of thing, but it really works. Because now you're not just spinning your wheels every single day and then going like, well, why isn't it working? Like you're actually actively, molding your puzzle to fit. You're finding different ways of molding that. It's the divergent mentality or divergent thinking in action, And so that really helped to get over the hump of getting clients. You're using your brain at that point, which is exactly what Arno talks about, using your brain to figure out the problems rather than like being worried and outsourcing your problems to other people. I can't figure this out. What should I do? You know what I mean?
Mhm. Now, would you have an answer for the three biggest lessons overall that you've learned from your time in the real world?
That's a good one, man, because I've learned so much actually. The three biggest lessons. Well, one of them is the first one and one of Andrew Tate's lessons, because he has a really good one, man, which is money in, speed and money in, which are two lessons really, but I kind of put them together, speed and money in. So like, I love that, man. I like that he was like, forget about that setting up a website, setting up a logo and all that crap. Like, it has just set up what you have to set up really quickly to start getting orders in, start getting money in, start getting people interested in your stuff, start getting clients generated, right? And whenever you get an idea that like the idea hits you really hard, like, oh, this would be killing to do. This would really work. Immediately jump on it. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. Don't go smoke a joint real quick. Like boom, hit it. And that's the money in, speed and money in, two things that I really think that Andrew Tate hit it on the money with that. He's right. So that's one lesson. I put that together as one lesson. That's one lesson. Uh, the second lesson is would be, the persuasion side of that, and learning the actual science of persuasion. There's a whole science behind it, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and learning how to write with an information gap like that. Big stuff that I really didn't put together, man. I had no idea. And that's where songwriting and copywriting are different. You don't have an information gap in songwriting. You have an information gap in copywriting. It's all about the information gap and being super creative with the information, which is where I come from, because I've 35 years of doing music. I'm a big jazz musician, classical jazz, but mostly jazz. And in jazz, you're always improvising. So, for at least 25 years, I've been divergent thinking the whole time, because that's what jazz music is. It's constantly improvisation and trying new things with the band, you know what I mean? And the musicians bringing in new tunes. And so it's easy for me to take that same creativity, put it to copywriting, and figure out, okay, how many different ways can I create this information gap? That makes me excited. I like doing that because I'm just naturally creative like that. So another big lesson. That was the second big lesson, and then the third big lesson is just, being able to do the work regardless of how you feel. That was another one. That actually comes from, that doesn't come from Andrew Tate. That comes from, because I learned that a long time ago, but Andrew Tate kind of hammered that in because he obviously learned it a long time ago. And then like, it was so like, it made such an impact on him that's one of his whole mentalities. And so when I started seeing him say that again, I was like, bro, he's so right about that. That is exactly how could I have forgotten about that? Where you got to do the work regardless. You do the work regardless of how you feel, and you're gonna win. You're gonna win regardless. You know what I mean? You will win. But if you do it based on how you feel, there's gonna be many times when you don't feel like doing it, and then the work won't get done. And then you're, especially if you have like a competitive winner's mentality, where you have like what I call FOMO, like fear of missing out, and you're always thinking like, oh well, there's somebody else out there that's going hard right now. I'm over here chilling, because I just don't feel like doing it, but somebody else is going hard. That person going hard is passing you up for sure. Is passing you up for sure. So that was the third big lesson, was like just coming back to that mentality of like, do the work regardless of how you feel, and you'll win. You'll win hands down. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Three big lessons right there, man. Money in, speed, money in, the information, learning how to write with an information gap. That's incredible. And I'm still working on that. That's hard to do. That's not easy. And then doing the work regardless of how you feel.
Good answers.
That's pushed me the farthest. Like, yeah.
Good. Now moving on to, now that you're on this trajectory, you see what's possible with copywriting. Where do you see your life heading in 6 months to 1 year?
Well, I'm just going to expand it. I had already started kind of building a digital marketing agency, but I didn't know anything about copywriting. So I shut it all down because I was like, you know what, let me concentrate on music. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be doing this. And then when I saw Hustlers University, well, that it was Hustlers University at the time. Now it's The Real World. I was just like, oh, what is this? But it was $50 a month. And I was like, that's pretty crazy. That's that. So I got into it and I started really seeing like so much value in here, man. It's crazy. I've always wanted to have something on the side of music. See, in music, you got so many people that are, it's like a huge team. I got a manager, I got an agent, I got a record company. Everybody's taking money from your whole thing all the time. So every time you make money, you got to kick back to all these people, man. You got the record company, you got the agent, he wants his 10%. You got the manager, he wants his 20%. The promoter takes their percentage. You're not making no money, man, as an artist. You're just out there, performing, and it's fun, but you're not making no money. So I was always like, man, I need something. I need a second business where nobody has their hands in my business. And so this is exactly that, where it's like a full digital marketing business. But what I've added to it now is the copywriting part to that. You can have digital marketing, you can use the AI, but if you don't have the copywriting skill, that's a whole skill. There's no AI that's going to help you with that. Even with the chat GBT and all this stuff, like what I usually do with chat GBT, I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to tell you that, like, I still have to write the initial emails or the initial copy. Then I put the copy into chat GBT, and then chat GBT will spit out 20 different versions of it. You know what I mean? But if I don't write it myself with my own brain, using the intelligence, using the information gap, using the knowledge, right? Chat GBT is just going to spit out some generic crap. It's just going to be generic. Nobody's going to feel it. It's not going to get inside your head. It's not going to influence you at all. I still have to write the initial stuff that has the magic to it. And then ChatGPT spits that out 20 different times. So that's what I'm saying. Like, even with AI, no, man, you still need to study and learn copywriting, and put that together with digital marketing. The copywriting goes with different digital marketing. It is the base. It is like it's the scales and arpeggios of digital marketing, which is the pop songs and the songs on the chart. You got to learn your scales and arpeggios on your instrument. You got to learn your instrument first, and then you can go and start writing songs and put a band together and go sell your music. So that's how I look at copywriting. So, I'm just going to expand. I'm just going to expand into, I'll have it would be great to expand into a digital marketing agency, and just to have like this machine always going, man, just kind of bringing in more clients, more and more clients. I sell a package now. My package is just like a all-in-one package where it's, email, text messaging, ads, CRM, all in one kind of machine. And then boom, so, and just to kind of bring more people into that, and convincing people that it can totally accelerate their growth in their business.
Right. I like that analogy there where you use music intertwined with copywriting. Okay. Now, yeah,
I always look at stuff like that for sure.
I like it. And it's really cool when you said you've been practicing divergent thinking for 25, 35 years. Can't remember exactly, but in that
Well,
time
yeah,
gap,
yeah.
yeah.
Only just because of, yeah. Well, I got into jazz. See, I was doing classical from about 5 years old to 15. It was all classical music, piano. But then from at 15, my dad, because my dad is a soul singer, he's an R&B singer, he's a producer and all that stuff. And with jazz, he showed me jazz. So I started learning jazz and all the jazz. And I went to a high school that was a big music academy, jazz band, the whole thing. And so, yes, jazz music is that. It's full divergent thinking, you know what I mean? Because it's pure improvisation. And so, now I go like, well, I'm just going to take that same kind of improvisation thinking and put it over here, use it for this. Yeah.
Love that. Now, on a bit of a different note,
Yeah.
what kind of sorry, what kind of an impact has Tate had on you outside of what you said already?
Oh, Tate, man. Like I said, I always laugh, man, because like he's somebody I even though I don't know him personally, he would be definitely somebody I would be friends with. I have plenty of friends just like Tate. They're most of them are musicians. And you have to, if you know musicians, man, like especially the really good ones, they're super cocky, man. And sometimes, and I'm not saying Andrew Tate's cocky, but I'm just saying like that character is so prominent in the music community, especially with drummers. Drummers, Andrew Tate could be a drummer. That's exactly, he's got that character of a drummer. Like that's how drummers are, man. They're just like cutthroat, and just, crazy. I have a drummer friend that's two times crazier than Andrew Tate when it comes to like the big personality, you know what I mean? And like the big shine. So I when I first ran into Tate like on TikTok, I totally took to his thing because I resonated with that because I have a bunch of friends. In fact, there's a friend of mine named Pocket Honore who he's even more he's even more aggressive than Andrew Tate, man. These guys are crazy, man. They're crazy, but I love them to death because they and Andrew Tate's part of this. They inspire you. They inspire you to keep going, man. They inspire you to push through obstacles because they have that mentality naturally, and they're so fiery with it. Like I'm not really that kind of a fiery person. I'm a lot more laid back, you know what I mean? I have it inside, the fire, the dragon inside, but Andrew Tate likes to bring his dragon out, man. He wears his dragon on the outside, you know what I mean? So some of us have the dragon on the inside, and then some of us wear the dragon on the outside. Like he's got the dragon on the outside, man. You know what I mean? And so but then also too, like he's super smart, man. When like his business chops, like he really thinks of some really creative stuff in terms of how to approach a business situation, a hustle situation, just a mindset. His mindset is nothing new, especially with he likes to talk about Wudan Mountain and stuff. I've been studying Wudan Mountain and Chinese soft style martial arts for like 20 years, man. The Tai Chi and Xingyi and Wudan Mountain, Qigong and all that stuff, man. So I mean it comes from that, you know what I mean? Being able to just push past pain. I mean, that's what it is. You can put however much pain you can push past is how strong you're gonna be. And so Andrew Tate's and also too, I relate with him because I'm a fighter too, man. He's a long time fighter, man. At least 25 years worth of fighting. So not competition. I never did competition because I was a musician. I had to pick. Do you want to go fight for competition, break your hands, or do you want to be a musician? So it's like you got to choose. You can't be a fighter and a musician. But I could totally relate with Andrew Tate. A lot of my family is like Andrew Tate. We're all fighters, martial artists, and stuff like that. So, so that he's really relatable to me. And so that's why I was really inspired by his messaging when he started coming with all that stuff about, like, don't be a brokey mentality, do the work regardless of how you feel. And I'll show you how to do it. Click the link in my bio. Yeah, I was like, okay, all right. Let's see what's going on with this, man. And then plus, he's kind of like he's got that same hustler mentality. I'm used to that, man. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. We have some of the ultimate hustlers out here, man. They're just like they'll be up in your brain so hard you won't be able to get them out. Some of the ultimate hustlers come from Los Angeles, so I'm totally used to it, man. I loved it. I really like Andrew Tate, and I really like his messaging, and I understand. See, you're not gonna have this on an interview, but that's fine. It is slightly chauvinistic. It is like that's just it is. But But there's the good part about that is young guys don't have anything right now. There's no Malcolm X. There's no, Stokely Carmichael. There's no Bruce Lee. There's no Muhammad Ali right now. There's nothing that young guys can go like, um, you know, I'm inspired by that.
Masculine figure, like a strong
Yeah,
masculine figure.
masculine figure. Yeah, exactly. That a masculine figure that's not violent, or because that's the cool thing about Tate. See, like, he's not violent. He's not violent towards women, man. He's not. He doesn't do any of that shit, man. He's just for a long time now, at least 10 years now. They the male has been getting beat down by the media. Media does that. The billionaires are doing that on purpose because they don't want young guys to realize that the billionaires have been, manipulating things for a long time. So they use women against us. They've been using the women against us, and the problem with that is it's not the women. It's not women's fault. It's not the women coming at us. It's not the women that are chopping our balls off. It's the billionaires putting that narrative in the media, teaching young girls and young women to act like that, to put that pressure on men. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the cool thing about Andrew Tate is he's coming out saying, look, man, stop feeling that pressure. You'll go into your room and go find your balls, put your balls back on, and move forward and do what you got to do. And that's the true message that Andrew Tate is trying to put forth, And so it does sound a little chauvinistic, but it's not. It's just he's championing for men, for young guys, man,
And that's the problem when you stand up against governments and whatever is above governments and impede
Yeah,
their control over people. And you can see the
absolutely.
situation he's in now.
They'll use anything as a weapon against you. And using women as a weapon against us is like, first of all, it's genius. I gotta say, like, the scientifically, if you do it psychologically, it's psychological warfare. So, hats off to them as in terms of warriors, like that, to use women against us. It's sad because you can't get away from that. It's only men and women out here in the world. You can't get away from that. You know what I mean? And not only that, it's a manipulation of beyond anything, because they're making women feel good because finally women are empowered. It long time of society of beating women down. Finally, they're empowered. They feel good, but it's actually being used against them. They don't even realize that they are beating men down in the process. You see what I'm saying? It's a whole mind game that's just, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
there's a lot to go into that. So I think
Yeah.
not worth this into you. Let's say that.
No, yeah, no.
I think this is
Sorry,
enough
man. I
to
go off
cover
on
for that.
tangents. My bad about
I'll
that.
leave that in. That's completely fine. But yeah, I'll ask one last question before we end off.
Yeah.
What advice would you have to people who are considering joining the real world?
Uh, get in. That um, my advice is to jump in head first. This is the new way. I really truly believe that now. It's crazy because I don't want to sound like I'm over here, sucking up to the real world, sucking up to Andrew Tate. It's not that, because I don't do that. I don't suck up to people. I honestly really do now feel like this is a new way of learning. This is a new educational platform that can be expanded and can be replicated. It's fun, which would be cool. And Tate, Andrew Tate, he probably would like that. He'd be like, oh, I don't want nobody copying my shit. But however, because now, like, young kids, young guys know about this. They're not going to college now. They're not trying to spend 30 grand a year on a degree that is, first of all, is not gonna, you can't name your own price point. Any you can't, you're still gonna have to go and work for a company and get a salary, start in the mailroom. You're still gonna have to do that. Doesn't matter. And so like what does is it makes you the boss right from the jump. You're the boss right from the start. Now you're a one-man band when you start out, you know what I mean? It's just you, but you're naming your own price points. When you name your own price points, you're automatically the CEO right there and then. And then all you got to do is just kind of expand it and then hire team members. And then eventually, boom, you got a full company. So my advice is jump in head first. This is the new way. And if you don't jump in head first, don't listen to the old people, man, because they come from a time when this wasn't around. They don't understand. They're not going to understand. My dad is 75, man. I know boomer mentality, man. I hang out with a lot of boomers. And some of them look at it, and they actually get inspired because they know about certain hustles like this. But they boomers are from like the old 1950s mentality, man. So they're not gonna change, And so this is the new way. This is the new way, of learning, and not only just learning, but learning something specific that can automatically start you off as a CEO, where you can name your own price points right from there, and then expand and start growing into a company right from that point by hiring people on. So you're not learning generic crap. You're not learning something that you're not going to be able to use, or getting a degree in something that it's going to take you 20 years to start seeing revenue. You know what I mean? Like a dentist, So my advice to young folks is, dive in head first. This is the new way. And you're gonna see some great improvements in your life jumping into this.
Great. And for people who want to find out more about you or contact you, where can they do so?
You can hit me up, Instagram, Hognose Marketing, or Facebook at Hognose Marketing, or my website, www.hognosemarketing.com.
Can you spell it out?
Yeah, www.hognose, that's HOGNOSE, marketing.com.
Okay. So I will add those to the description of the video. Cameron, really enjoyed this interview. Really, again, thank you for your time. And I do look forward to doing a follow-up in future once things have scaled for you with copywriting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a great interview. Thanks for doing it. Thanks for doing it with me.
Awesome. So all the best to you, and till next time.
Yeah, till next time, man. Thanks.